Hello, and welcome to a quick reviews video. I'm going to be doing a mini-series, and as the title of this video suggests, it's about cheap or free games that I recommend. And that is really going to be the crux of it. In each one, I'm probably going to recommend 3 or 4, and maybe somewhere where you can get them. So, without any further ado, let me move on to game number 1. Absolute Drift is technically a racing game, but its focus, as the title suggests, is on drifting. So speed and power are very much not your friends in this game, and you will find yourself bouncing and crashing around a track like a drunken Octodad on roller skates if you apply them too heavily. Before I get too into the game itself, I'm going to talk about one of its really striking elements, which really impressed me actually. And that's how minimalistic it really is. Because I'm going to use an analogy here for the colours, so just give me a second, bear with me. You've got the white floor, and that acts like a blank canvas for your brush, aka your car, to paint on. Now, if you're skilled, like an artist, the lines that your tyres leave behind are beautiful and smooth and round and consistent and look fantastic. But if you're shit, which in early game you probably will be, and for me, I managed to blitz my way to mid-game while still being quite shit. But either way, the lines just are a mess, and it reminds you of every petty little scrape, every petty little bounce, every rage-inducing spin that leads into a crash, which makes you forget everything you were just taught, smash the keyboard, and want to give in. But they are there, and it looks fantastic, and also I did a jump off of a ramp and the lines draw in the air as well. For some strange reason, that works in this game. Moving on slightly, because these lines, these courses, these tracks are all highlighted by the reddest red I've ever seen in a video game. And this red acts like sort of landmarks that show you where you need to be, where you need to go. Instead of just having a tutorial or something say, do this, do that, these red areas sort of just say, and here is where you are. And it works perfectly. And I've never ever come across a game where just 3 colours like that have made something work so well. If you haven't already figured out, and I haven't already mentioned, at the start and early phases of this game, I was very angry at it, because I was being relentlessly bullied and teased by these well-organised and well-animated pixels that were decorating the screen in front of me. I went through every phase of gamer rage you can imagine before any form of epiphany kicked in. What are the phases of game rage? Well, let me explain them to you. Step 1, just being crap. Step 2, get crapper and start to make those little noises that sound a little bit like goats mating. Step 3, full on rage. The sort of rage that sees you flailing your limbs around like Stretch Armstrong in a washing machine. Step 4, recede into that silent shell and sit there staring at the game as if trying to hypnotise it into doing your will. And finally, step 5. Now this is an odd one because you never see it coming. And for some games, Bloodborne, it never happens. You just finish a game through sheer will and levels of persistence that are not known to science. Step 5 is the breakthrough, or the sudden realization that you're doing it right, that you are playing the game and playing it well. Absolute Drift is the sort of game where this moment pounces on you and you find yourself being precise and smooth around every corner, every bend. You hit every obstacle that it wants you to, or you miss every obstacle that you're supposed to, and it's as if you've been doing it since birth, and it looks and feels spectacular. This game rewards you really well when you do things right, which most of the time I didn't. Another thing this game does really well is how you navigate levels inside of the main game. It's got a little world, essentially. You unlock little worlds that you go around, and inside of these little worlds are the courses, the tracks, and the levels. But inside of the worlds there are things to do. There's little challenges that unlock little things, or little modes, or cars, or tire tracks you can leave behind, that sort of stuff. And I don't see many games do that. I think the only game that pulled it really off might have been Lego Star Wars, because I really like the Lego Star Wars mini worlds. But this game also has it and pulls it off. Other bits that I noticed are like it's got really good selection of cars for what it is, and the customization levels may be basic, but they are still fun. Other things like it's got a really vast amount of tracks. It's not a small game. I put 35 hours into this game, and every single one of them was worth it. Now moving on to the lesser side. If you looked up this game online, its reviews are a solid 6 or 7 out of 10, which puts it firmly in everybody's sort of territory. And I can understand that, but it's only $8.99 on Steam. And it's really worth the time and effort. It's really worth the money, and you'll find yourself coming back to this game every now and then. So, because of how much time I put into it, how much I enjoyed it, and that little breakthrough, that epiphany I mentioned, I would wholeheartedly tell people to go and have a look at this game. So that's what I'm going to do. Go and have a look at this game. It's really good.
Game number 2.
Do you like a hack and slash game? Do you like ninjas that wield awesome special powers? Do you like space-orientated science fiction? If you answered yes to these 3 questions, then boy, this game is probably going to be for you. Warframe will divide opinions. It's going to have a lot of people who like it because they've played it. It's going to have people who hate it because they've played it. And it's going to have the people who've not played it, like the look of it, and don't like the look of it. Because it's not your normal game. It doesn't look like every other game. It's quite, I'm going to say overture and bizarre. And for a game that sells itself on being a space ninja, overture wasn't what I was expecting to say during this review. This game does exactly what it says on the tin. It takes you across our entire solar system and extra places, going from fantastic place to fantastic place, meeting every kind of interesting creature and peoples, then decorating the fantastic places with the recently decapitated limbs and heads of the interesting creatures and peoples. For reasons I'm not sure of, honestly, I never follow the lore of games like this. It doesn't add anything except extensive and ultimately pointless and completely forgettable reading. And when I refer back to my comment about it being overture and a bit bonkers, I wasn't kidding. It's got enemies that look, well, they look like this. You've got something that looks a bit like the Breen from Star Trek. You've got whole hosts of these ugly fuckers. What I can only describe as the messed up love child of a Vortigaunt and Dog from Half-Life 2. And then you got your whole flood, swarm, tyrannid, Zerg-like species that no sci-fi franchise sadly can resist. Honestly, I think they need to think up something else soon. And the way you're allowed to go about turning these bizarre, wonderful creatures into mush is really quite vast. You have special abilities which are character locked for the most part, that allow you to do things like teleport or ram through things, or rip things apart, crush things, and so on and so forth. As well as the gunplay, which is simple but effective. You can point a vast array of guns down a range at an enemy, pull the trigger, see it disintegrate into sparks, and watch it drop to the floor dead. But the thing that this game does well, and I stand by this, is the melee. The melee, A, looks wonderful, B, is very intuitive and works very well with a controller, on a keyboard, so on and so forth. It just works, and yes, it makes the screen fill up with so much crap that you can't actually tell what's going on sometimes, but a lot of games fall into that trap and I won't dwell on it. Star Trek Online, I'm looking at you. I could fanboy on for hours about the different ways you can do things, but genuinely, I'm hoping what I've got on the screen says quite a bit for me. I do have one major gripe about the game though, and that is it's introduced open areas, which sounds and should be fantastic. The only problem is, the ones I've played, in particular, the plains of Eodolan, I'm putting the word on the screen now, that. They should be great, right? I love an open world anything. I love to explore, and I love to come across random events, or fixed events that I can keep coming back to, and do it different ways to dispatch whatever is there, in whichever way I see fit. The only problem is these open worlds don't work. You change sessions and servers almost at the whim of whatever god is in control of that particular moment. I was genuinely in a team of 3, and we all ended up on a different server within a few seconds, not even in the same session, and I'm pretty damn sure not even playing on the same planet anymore. Another instance was I was having a little bit of a firefight with a couple of enemies. They were evenly matched, and then a few seconds later, these guys vanished, just completely vanished, and appeared behind me in a swarm of about 10 to 15 enemies, 10 levels higher than me, and resulted in me just turning and running away, rage quitting the game, and then coming back to it later, trying again and having a very similar time. My only recommendation is avoid the open worlds until somebody can confirm that they actually work. Yeah, just stick to the main levels. They are perfectly put together and do the game all sorts of favours. Despite a good list of reasons why this game has issues, it is genuinely a free-to-play when it says free-to-play. I mean, you don't need a subscription to anything. You don't need to pay for anything. Yes, there is a stupidly addictive pay-to-win and gather stupid things together to craft something, to craft a bit that you need to craft to make a thing. Every game's got that. This game, however, does something great, which if you don't want to pay a penny, you don't have to. Also, it means if you are locked to console, and some of your friends don't have subscriptions, or you don't have a subscription, you don't have to pay. They can all join the same sessions as you and play together for free. I think this works on PCs as well. I keep on hearing rumours of cross-console, but I've not actually been able to find anything conclusive on this, so if there's anybody out there who does know, keep it to yourself. But on the selling point, I think this game has a lot to offer, and is a really good go away, come back, go away, come back. You can throw loads of hours into it, and it does try so hard to be an MMO. It really does. You can see the influences, but it's a game designed to either play by yourself for a couple of hours or play with your friends for a few more. And purely on the things that I've just said, the free-to-play, the game, the fact that it looks great and it is a really good thing to do, and it's got a vast array of everything, characters, weapons, enemies, you can keep going back to it. And there's a fair amount of replayability. Actually, there's an incredible amount of replayability. And for those reasons, I'm going to say, don't just discount it because it looks like tat. Because it's not. Go and play it and see what you think once you get past the first few levels. Because you'll find yourself either addicted or casually playing it because you like it. So that's my review of Warframe. Go have a go at it. It's great. Destiny 2 is a free-to-play now. Oh, what a piece of shit it is. Game number 3. Fallout. We all love a bit of the post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland, don't we? And if you don't worry about it. This is barely even touching that. Fallout Shelter was originally designed as a hype-generating pre-release app for Fallout 4, and for the most part, I think it was a success in what it was supposed to do. What I don't think it was supposed to do was create a generation of vault-building survival games that are just copy and paste pieces of shit that cropped up over the next few years. So, thanks, Bethesda. No, really, thanks. I like scrolling past them and saying, no. It fills my day with happiness. The objective or premise of this game is you are an overseer, and you have been given a small number of survivors or dwellers to live in your otherwise primitive vault. You are given a bit of tutorializing on how to keep them alive, gather resources, and so on, and then things become available to you like a very good selection of rooms to improve and otherwise upgrade your vault. Some are upgrades to rooms you've got, some are there for aesthetics, or to train, or to have dwellers just meet. And it's quite impressive how it makes the vault look. It makes it bigger, makes it look prettier, and therefore makes it better. The bit that got me is there is a absolutely mental list of weapons and armor that you can get your hands on. It's very, very long, and it lists back through every single one of the Fallout games previous to this. And on that note as well, there is also quite a large selection of characters that you can get. Some are randomly generated, but it's the named characters that really impressed me. They're all, again, pullbacks from every single one of the Fallout games. Characters like Tenpenny or Abraham Lincoln, Elder Lyons, or I think Three Dogs in there. And additionally to just getting dwellers, building a vault and making it all pretty, there are events like you get fires or radroach infestations, or the vault will actually be attacked by raiders or deathclaws. You can send dwellers out on story missions. I say story missions in the loosest of terms. You send a guy out and he turns into a text adventure, which you can follow and read, and you get to see him having read him having counters, and he gathers resources as he goes. Sometimes they do die on these missions, so it is recommended that you bring them back after a certain amount of time. As well as these adventure things you can send them out on, you do have missions where you get a group of your dwellers and you control them out in the wilderness. You'll end up at buildings that you have to troll through to pick up loot, kill something, go back. It's very all cut and paste, and you don't do much during them. You just watch it happen, sort of. They're not very impressive, but it does add diversity to the game. I'm going to designate this game under the category of clicker, because you put dwellers in a resource-producing room. They produce the resources, you click on it, and you gain that resource. It's added to the supplies, and everybody's kept happy, fed with power. But now here's the big but. Most games, when you turn them off, don't sort of run in the background. For some strange reason, this one does. Meaning if you're away from your game for a couple of days, you go back to it, because you weren't watching your vault endlessly for this period of time, no resources are being gathered at all, and everything you'd stockpiled has gone. Meaning your dwellers starve to death, people leave, and you have a very sad time overall, and you have to spend ages rebuilding it back up, or start again, or uninstall the game. Luckily for you, you can get your paws on a Mr. Handy or two, who do the gathering automatically, both when you're signed on and when you're signed off. The problem with that is, most things like that, like Mr. Handy's extra resources, or people in general, you have to pay real money to get stupid little crates that you open up and have a disappointing amount in them, especially for the fact that one of their cheapest sets is a tenner, and all you get for it is a stupid little box that doesn't really hold anything except, I don't know, a gun that you've probably already got, and a suit that you don't need. That being said, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here and give you a little secret. This game doesn't require you to be online to play. It's one of the few offline games of this type that you can get your paws on. Meaning everything is saved locally. So there are save editors out there. Meaning you can get all of this stuff for free. And that, for me, is great, because I hate games where features are essentially locked by having to pay for stuff. And this is a way around that. And if you want to have a very customed vault where you start with good stuff, good people, and have Mr. Handy's coming out your ears, you can do that. So, to conclude not only my review of this game, but the video, because this is my last one for this episode, have a look at this game. Genuinely. Yes, you'll need a save editor to make it important and to get stuff, but it's alright. You know, it's very simple, very easy, very good to use, and it's also the original vault builder out there that I'm aware of, and it's got a Fallout background, so what's not to like? You know, give it a try, give it a play. It'll eat away a few hours while you look for something else, or do something else, so what's to lose? What you really got to lose? Yeah. Alright. I've been InvertedOvert. This has been my first 3 cheap and free games review. More coming soon. Like, subscribe. If you've got any recommendations or ideas, please message me. And ta-ra.